Guys, this is lesson 7, and we're going to talk about properties of logarithms. And remember how in the other lesson I told you that logarithms deal with exponents. So logarithms are always equal to some kind of exponent. So that's why I want to start here, what we're familiar with. So if I had, this is x to the a times x to the b, then we add the exponents together. So that's a big deal when we come over to logarithms because we add the exponents over here, we come to logarithms. If we're multiplying these two together, you are going to add them together. So this is called the condensed form, and this is called the expanded form. And so that is what this lesson is going to focus on. So sometimes you're going to be asked to condense it. Sometimes you're going to be asked to expand it. So if you're multiplying, that means addition. If you're dividing, that means subtraction. And then there's one more rule that we'll talk about later on in this lesson. Okay, so if I'm going to expand log of xy, then I'm going to say log of x, and notice that this is being multiplied together just like this one, plus log of y. So that's how you expand those. So on this one, it's going to be log base 5 of a, and because again these are multiplied together, plus log base 5 of b plus log base 5 of c. So notice that this stays the same the whole time, and these are going to be expanded when you're multiplying to plus. So now we're going to go the other way and we're going to condense it. So notice the addition, when I condense it, becomes a multiplication. So I'm going to only, when you think condense, only write the logarithm one time. So that's going to be hard to do. But when you're condensing, as long as these are the same, only write them once. So I'm going to do the log of this times this. So I'm going to rewrite it that. So I'm literally going backwards from what we did up here. And then if I want to make it even nicer, I'm going to go ahead and FOIL that so that it looks like that. Okay, so for this one, I want you to notice how there is a log of A and then there's also a log of B. So I'm going to condense these two and condense these two. So I'll start with the A. So I'll say the log of A, log base A of 4 times V. And then I have log B of 5W. I'm going to go ahead and connect these with a plus because we're still adding the logarithms together. The only thing we really did is just combine these. So you'll want to keep that plus there. Okay, so everything that we've done here deals with a plus because we're multiplying. That's the product property. So now we're going to move on to the quotient property. So like I said, when you're dealing with division, so think fraction, you subtract the exponents, and so now it's going to turn into subtracting the logarithms. So here's the condensed version. This is the expanded version. So the first thing we're going to do is expand it. So division means subtraction. So I have log base 8 of A minus log base 8 of 2. Next one, think of this as like two separate pieces. So I'm going to do log base 8 of 3x minus log base 8 of 4y. Well, if you'll notice that these are connected with multiplication. So I need to go ahead and expand these more. So I'm going to have log base 8 of 3 plus log base 8 of x. And I'm going to go ahead and put it in parentheses. And then minus log base 8 of 4 plus log base 8y. And again, go ahead and put those in parentheses. Okay, now we're going to go backwards. The other way, we're going to condense these. So remember, this means division. So I have 5 divided by 2. So remember, we're going to just write the log one time, and it's 5 divided by 2. Okay, over here, I just want you to look at this right here. So if I were to condense that, it'd be log of 5 times 2. So I'm going to simplify that to 10. And then the same thing over here. I have log of x times y. So when I bring everything together, it's going to be the log of 10 minus the log of xy. Now, I want to also point out this. So this is coming from an older lesson. Don't forget that the log, L-O-G, that's our common log, and it has a base of 10. So log base 10 of 10, remember those cancel out. So this is 1 minus log of xy. Okay, and the last property that we're going to talk about is the product property. Sorry, the power property. We've already talked about the product property. The power property. Okay, so when you raise a power to a power, you multiply. And so we're going to multiply that exponent out in front. So I call this the leapfrog rule because, well, I'll show you here in a second. So let's begin with what we know. So I know that this x squared is being multiplied to the y cubed. So I'm going to first start there. So I'm going to turn that into a plus. So it looks like that. Okay, now the reason I said I call this the leapfrog rule is because we're going to take this 2, this exponent, we're going to leapfrog it out in front. We're going to do the same thing with the 3. So it's going to be 2 log base 8 of x plus 3 log base 8 of y. And that's our final answer. So anytime you have an exponent, it leapfrogs out in front. Okay, see if you can do this one. Don't forget that this exponent, think of that if it's a root, this is going to be z to the 1/5 power. So I'm going to push pause here. You push pause too and see if you can do it on your own. Okay, so the first thing I want you to notice is that these two are being multiplied together, and then this one we're going to subtract. So also this has an exponent, so that's going to leapfrog out in the front. So I have 2 log base 5 of x, and then 4 log base 5 of y, minus, and remember this is z to the 1/5 power, so that 1/5 is going to leapfrog out in front. So oh goodness, I forgot the log base, sorry. Let's do this. Log base 5 of z. There we go. Okay, so that is everything. Now we're going to go to condensate. So notice if it's going to leapfrog out in front, it's going to leapfrog back up here when you condense it. So that's the first thing that I'm going to notice. I also notice that this is a subtraction, so that means division. So I'm going to have log, remember we leave it alone, x to the 5th divided by y to the 3rd. And sometimes I put them in parentheses. You don't have to, just kind of makes it a little bit easier. Okay, so this one, we're going to leapfrog out in front, back as an exponent. Same thing with this one. So we're going to leapfrog back as an exponent. So I have log, remember write it one time, x to the 3rd divided right there by y to the 1/3. And I'm going to clean that up a little bit. X to the third divided by the cubed root of y. So either one of those would work okay. Okay, so here's some practice problems. Go ahead and try those before I turn you loose on your homework assignment and see how you do. So go ahead and push pause. I'll push pause and finish them for you and see how we do. Okay, so guys, have a look at my answers. Make sure that my answers match yours. Remember, like anytime you have the same base and the same number here, they cancel out to 1. Something else I also did is some of you guys, like this is too much of a jump to go from here to here. So feel free to go ahead and write this as p to the third and then leapfrog that out in front. So if you have any questions over this, just reach out to me on Remind or Zoom or whatever. And that's it.